So my last video ended a little bit abruptly because I got a little confused on something, and I'll show you why that is right now. So here we just did the setup page sizes, margins, and gutter. I'm actually going to go and cross this one out, but I'll show you what went wrong. So I was up here, I went to view and I went to multiple pages so I could see pages like this. And then I went to justify the text because I should have been able to see the difference from the gutter, which should be not the same on every page. It should rotate on every other page. And so there was a change in Word 2016, which I wasn't aware of because I just started using this one. So when I go up here to layout and margins, custom margins, I set the gutter. What I hadn't done, they have pages and they have mirror images, or mirror margins. So this is the default set on normal. And if I do this, this is like if you were printing out the whole document and it wasn't printed on both sides. So the margin would always be, like if it was one-sided and it was going into a binder or something, the margin would always be on the same side. That's why it looked like this, which is where I got confused. But all you have to do is go to layout, and when you're setting up the margins, the custom margins, you just change this to mirror margins. And that way you're getting the double-sided and the flipping on both sides, which is what you need to set up a book. So I applied that. And then once that's set up, and when you have your text justified, then you can see, and this is kind of common in Word, but because the first page starts on the left, there's a way to fix it. I'll see if I can come back to it later, but you can set it up so it doesn't do that. But the problem is that it shows you the margins on the left-hand side, but it's actually over here and then over here. So this is, even though it's on the outside, this is the part that goes inside the book, and this is the part that goes inside the book. So these two pages are actually kind of flipped, which is fine as long as you just keep that in mind and you can recognize it because you can see the extra gutter and see the extra space. So then when you're setting up your headings or whatever, you can make sure you know that this is actually the inside, so my headings and footers need to be aligned to this side, which is the outside of the book. I might come to that. That might come up again later, but for now, let's continue. So we're going to remove the extra tabs, spacing and tabs. I'm going to go back to view 100%. And this is important because this is something a lot of authors do when they're writing a book or when they're formatting. Like when they're writing the book, they're not really formatting. So there's a few ways they may have set up indents. Something I see that's common is they just hit space 5 times. So there's actually like 5 spaces here. So you'd have to go through and delete all of these through the whole manuscript. Also, sometimes there's too much space between the paragraphs. And they might have hit tab, and you don't want to hit tab. Like I could hit enter, and then if I want to indent it, I could just hit tab, which makes that indent space. But I don't want that either because I want all the indents set up with hold on, let me go back here. I want it set up here, which is the line paragraph spacing options. So the first thing we have to do is get rid of all this extra spacing stuff, and then we have to add it back in the right way. That's just important for consistency, and also it makes it a lot easier to make changes to everything, the whole document, in the future. Like if I wanted to change this from 5 spaces to 3, I'd have to go through every individual circumstance. But if I set it up as part of a paragraph style, then it will just all work and I can change everything really easily. So first, I can use the find and replace, which is up here. And what I'm going to do is copy these spaces. This is like 5 spaces. So I'm going to copy those and paste it in here. And then I'm going to replace it with nothing. So I just make sure I backspace and there's nothing in this box. And I go replace all. So I made 276 replacements, 277. And so now these are all gone. And if there wasn't any spacing between the paragraphs, all the paragraphs would run together, which is kind of a problem. But this already has a little bit of space between paragraphs, which helps a little bit to keep things organized. So then we're going to go through, and now that I've removed, if you want to remove tabs, if this had actually been using tabs, which some authors will do, if I was hitting the tab key, to remove those, I would go to replace, and I would do this. Hold on, it's the up arrow key. That's funny. Now I can't find it on, there it is. It's Shift 6, which is the up arrow key, and T, that's the tab symbol. So I'm going to look for that symbol and replace it with nothing like I did with the spaces, replace all. It says I've only replaced one, which is kind of funny because I think I just made a few more. Interesting. I'm not sure why that's happening, but I'll come back to it in a minute. So I thought I had made these tabs and deleted them, but that shift replace tab that I've always used before didn't seem to work in Microsoft Word 2016. So you may not be able to do that with tabs in this version of Word, but I'll keep playing with it. But for now, I'm just going to delete these and get it how we had it before. So what we need to do is make an indent at all the paragraphs, and I'll go up here to the paragraph spacing. I could go to remove space after paragraph, but right now I'm going to go to line spacing options. This is kind of where everything happens. And right here there's this after, this is what's causing the space between the paragraphs. So I'm going to get rid of that because I don't want any space between the paragraphs. And then I'm going to add an indent here to the first line that's going to be 0.3. That's a pretty safe indent. You could do more or less, but that's a pretty good space. And then also this is the line spacing. It's set at 1.15. I'm going to change it to 1.3. I think that's also pretty safe. Usually like 1.2 or 1.4 could also work depending on the project. I go with 1.3. In most cases, that's just the right amount of space. And so I've done that with this paragraph, but I haven't done it with all the paragraphs. So what I need to do is right click here. And in older versions of Word, you would have your style here and you could go straight to styles. In this version, you don't. So I have to go up here to styles. And I have to go to create a style. There was also something I liked better in the earlier version of Word. It was really easy to just click here and go to styles and go to update style, and it would just match that new one. But we don't have that. So now that, since we're formatting from scratch, I'll have to make my own style. So I'll go, I've just highlighted this paragraph and I've right clicked. I go to styles, I go to create a style, and I'm just going to have this be my paragraph text. So that's my normal paragraph text, and I'll click OK. So what I have to do now, which is kind of a pain in the ass, is I'll need to, up here it shows my style. I'm going to have to highlight everything in the book to make it match that style. This is really, if you set up your styles before you started writing your book, it would save you a lot of time. But if you're formatting a book, you can do it this way. If you're formatting with one of my templates and you're using an older version of Microsoft Word, which I kind of would recommend. I've just started with 2016. I was using 2003 or 2007 or 2010, and they had a thing where you could really just, you could change a style and you could right click and you could just update the style. There might be a way to do that I haven't figured out yet. That would be nice. But it looks like for now I have to go to styles. And I'm just going to click here. This is the paragraph that I just set up. So I'm going to click that. And that's gotten rid of the most of the spacing between the paragraphs. It's set the line spacing. It's gotten rid of the indent and set it to 0.3. So basically everything that I did when I set this up, line spacing and paragraph. However, you don't really want the book formatted in a serif font. Sans serif is a lot easier to read. So the next thing I'm going to do, actually in the next paragraph, I'll continue talking more about paragraph styles. I had to do it in this one just to add that spacing. I removed the extra spacing in the tabs using the replace feature, find and replace, and then I added the style, the first paragraph style, just so that I could add this indent and kind of clean up this spacing. But I'll talk more about styles and paragraph styles in the next setting because we're really going to get deeper into styles. Thanks. Bye-bye.